Grace notes are beautiful additions to your worship medley, your worship song. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you the difference between grace notes and scales, and also show you what grace notes is like. Don't worry, grace notes is not even a hard note to apply. Grace notes is what comes out from your head and what you play with your fingers. So stay tuned as I show you through this video. Now what I did is addition of grace notes. It's very different from sustaining. Sustaining can actually sound like grace note, but sustaining is not grace notes. Now this is what it looks like. What you just heard is absolutely not grace note. That is sustaining, and sustaining can cut across for grace note also, but it is not grace note. There is a reason for you to apply grace note. What grace note does, grace notes are your actual soprano notation and then gives you this time to have a depth into your actual soprano notation. So when you want to play the actual notes that leads to the song, you have this certain depth because of the grace note. And the grace notes are passive. They are very quick. Like, you don't dwell on grace note, because if you dwell on the grace notes, you're going to miss the software notation of the actual song you're playing, and then your audience may not be carried about it, except you're performing. But if you are actually doing a worship medley, a worship song, anything, you have to understand the timing of your grace notes. One of the fears of grace notes is that you don't want to miss the actual notation of the song. The thing about grace notes is that you have to be fast with it. That's why you need to know your chromatic. Grace notes is all about just 1-2 additions of your chromatic, and when you do more than 1-2 additions of your chromatic, it becomes a scale. It's no longer grace notes. And scales are actually beautiful, but there's a difference between your scale and your grace note. I will let you know the difference between scale and grace note in the next video, but for this video, let's try to apply grace note. Now I'm going to show you a fingering exercise, a practical exercise on how to add your grace notes. But note that the addition of grace note is just your chromatic. For this particular grace notes application I did in the song, the very first video, I made use of 3 passive notes that made up the grace notes. I made use of the mo, the do, and the z. Playing on the key of G, your mo happens to be your B flat, your do happens to be your A flat, and then your Z happens to be your E flat. For better understanding, your mo happens to be your A sharp, your do happens to be your G sharp, and then your Z happens to be your D sharp. So these are the 3 passive notes I applied to have that grace note, and I'm going to be showing you in this video. Watch closely. As that sound, you can actually make your sax sound that good. When you hear these names, grace notes, this notes, that notes, and Lauren, all of those stuff, don't get scared. They're just notes that you already know. It's just the application that you don't know about. So today you can start with grace notes. Learn to apply grace notes to your worship song. It makes your worship song more beautiful. In my next video, I'm going to show you the impact of grace notes and scales in your worship song, so you know when to apply which. So stay tuned to this channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, share this video, and see you in my next video. Bye.